right, welcome back and thank you so much for staying with us. Now, the Gauteng Department of Education says learners affected by the Adelaide Tambo School for the Disabled incident are receiving counselling. A video of a staff member assaulting the 16-year-old girl in a school bus emerged recently. The bus driver restrained the staff member, then tracked the people out of the bus. Not only has the clip sparked outrage, but it has also raised concerns over the responsibilities of caregivers of children with special needs. Michael Ngobeni, a social worker and a manager of the Sunshine Centre in Elsburg, joins us now in our studio to discuss this development. Good morning to you and thank you so much for coming through.
Morning, thanks for having me.
Now, let's get your take on the video. What came to your mind when you first saw it?
I was so shocked because I'm in this environment and we have been trained on how to work with children. So I'm not too sure as to whether the caregivers there were not trained on how to work with children with disabilities, but clearly that is unacceptable. It's so shocking, yes. Yeah,
very shocking. And unfortunately, we cannot be fighting that video here on Morning Live due to the sensitivity of it and, you know, the nature of it, the way it is graphic. So apologies, we're not going to show that video on Morning Live on this program.
Good.
But then you made mention of a very important factor of training.
Yes.
Talk to us about the character of someone who works with children.
A very good question. Working with children with disabilities, I think it's a passion. You have to have the heart. Not anybody can work with children with disabilities because you have to have patience. You know, they need love and they need care. So if you don't have passion for working with children with disabilities, you're not going to make it. And we have got at Sunshine a program called START, where we train caregivers on how to train, on how to stimulate, and on how to feed children with disabilities. So all those things are embedded in our training program, yes.
Yeah, and we know, Michael Hore, children in general are vulnerable.
Yes.
So I cannot even start to imagine about children with disability.
Definitely. Remember, they cannot speak for themselves, which is why a caregiver is there to promote at all times their best interest. Yeah.
So obviously, when they come across abuse and so on, they cannot talk for themselves,
they cannot talk for themselves,
and
yes.
It goes back to us as parents. Are there perhaps signs that we need to be on the lookout for on our children to be able to pick up such incidents?
Definitely. Especially, I wouldn't want to talk more about the physical ones because those are, you can see, those are identifiable ones. But I think parents need to be proactive. When they take their children to crashes, they also need to be aware as to whether there's a program at that center. Because crashes are not a drop-in center. Children have to be trained. Children are there to be educated. So you might find parents just take children to crashes where there's no program. So I would encourage parents to also, without even making an appointment, go to the crash, go to the center and see exactly what happens.
Yeah, because I wanted to say that programs can be there on paper, but the implementation thereof can be a challenge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if you have got caregivers who have been trained, they need to implement that because you have, I obviously as a social worker oversees the implementation of the program. So in our case at Sunshine, there is no way in which you can have a program and not implement it because practitioners are expected to give us progress reports and they are daily, on a daily basis they have to write daily process notes that will show as to what happened on that day. And monthly we have to have monthly reports.
All right, so basically it's your responsibility again as a parent to have a look at that progress report and see how far your child has come.
Exactly. And also parents is to attend parents meetings because some of these things can be discussed and parents can also give input at parents meeting to say, I've observed my child coming with this after having attended at your crash. Is it a norm or was this an incident? Because if you don't attend, you don't take part in activities at the center, the chances are you're not even aware as to what is happening at that center that you have taken your child to, which cannot be. It's not.
But one can also argue that you might be very much involved in your child's activities at school and you still find that such things happen to them. So it goes back to the caregivers themselves.
Yes, very much so. And I think we can only place the responsibility of on the caregivers, but I think we need to look at the broader. All of us have got a responsibility to play, because as a parent, when you take your child to a crash, you're not in any way giving giving away your responsibility as a parent for parenting. So it's a partnership between parents and the school and the caregivers. Yes.
And there's another video that emerged. In fact, I saw it yesterday in the afternoon, of a Namibian nanny who dropped a child from the side into a court. And what the mother said is that she had noticed bruises on the child's neck, and that's when she decided to install cameras in her room.
Good.
And she found out that indeed something was happening to my child.
Exactly. Which brings me to the point that what is happening now could be the tip of the iceberg. So it means parents need to be proactive and take active role in the crashes. And I think generally crashes are a microcosm of what is happening in a society. So it clearly shows that the violence that is happening in society is now finding its space even at crashes. And one would not expect that a crash has now become unsafe, because obviously parents go to work knowing that very well that their children will be safe at the crash. But clearly now they have to think twice about it.
True. No, it got many of us thinking.
Exactly.
Going back to that video of the Adelaide Tambo School for the Disabled, in terms of the reputation of caregivers, what has it done to that? I mean, the incident took place at a place where the learner was supposedly safe.
Definitely, which is a concern for us as well, because we work with children with disabilities and we don't want to paint it with the same brush, because we do not associate ourselves with that event.
But it looks like it's getting there.
Yes. And so we obviously at Sunshine will be working hard at creating awareness to say these isolated events we cannot be allowed, and we're not part of that.
But how common is ill treatment of disabled children by people who are close to them?
I would say it's very common, because there's still a lot of perception and treatment of children with disabilities at the family level and at the community level. Because remember, at the family level, we still have a lot of parents who are hiding their children, who are not taking their children out. So that in itself is abuse.
It is.
Because they need to be exposed.
And that's where you as social workers come into the picture.
Exactly, yes. So that's where we come in terms of counseling, if we pick up that parents have not reached the stage where they've accepted the child that they have, But at the community level as well, look at the transport system.
For example,
As an example, most children with disabilities are on wheelchairs. Those transports are not wheelchair friendly. And parents are most of the time stared at as if the child is not normal. So there's got to be a lot of awareness and education that children with disabilities are just as normal as anyone else.
All right.
Their rights are as same as yours. Basic human rights.
Your final message as a social worker to parents: what do we do from now on going forward in terms of taking care of our children and as you're saying, being proactive instead of reacting to such incidents?
I would say to parents, the time has come for you to realize that crashes are a microcosm of what's happening in a society. So when you see something happening in a society, you must always know that it could have an impact at the center where your child is. So always be proactive and
all right, Michael, let's leave it at that. Thank you so much for talking to us here on Morning Live. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Thanks so very much for the opportunity.
Well, there you have it. That's Michael Ngobeni. He's a social worker and a manager of the Sunshine Center in Elsburg, talking to us about this horrific incident that happened at the Adelaide Tambo School for the Disabled. Of course, talk to us about that video. You might have also seen the one from Namibia where a nanny literally drops a child into a pot. So talk to us about such incidents, what needs to be done going forward. At Morning Live SABC, it's our Twitter handle. Let's take an ad break here on Morning Live. When we come back, you'll see news at 7.